So we had the main difference war so far, waking state, right?
Between Rambam and
Waking state. We had this is by Ramchal, right? Ramchal was in a state of wakefulness. That's Pel Per Daber Boy. Then there was the direct message, right? But that's a Mara V'Lei B'Chidos, that it wasn't symbolic language; it was clear, direct language, and seeing as close as humanly possibly, seeing the full image of the essence of God, which is Tunas Hashem Yabit. Right? Because only he had one aspect, one lens, and pure clear lens. So as much as a human can comprehend the divine, that's Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. Fine. Okay, so let's just continue to finish, and then we'll see if we have time to jump back to the Rambam. Yeah? So, Vov. There was another difference between other prophets and Moshe. Shoshara Nevi'im, other prophets, they were not able to prophesy in any moment. But rather only at a moment that God wanted to speak to them. Then he would rest his influence upon them, and then they would prophesy. I feel like we did this before, I'm not sure. The matter was dependent on his will. It was given over to him to kind of wind himself to Hashem, and then bring down the revelation to him as it was necessary.
On demand.
Right. Pay-per-view. So, but he still. So it's interesting. I'm just trying to think out loud a little bit. So, but it's interesting, right? So Moshe, on one hand, Moshe Rabbeinu had direct connection to God, meaning he did not have to go into any kind of a trance, right? That's on one hand, and yet, right? So, and yet he couldn't just. It does not mean that he could just turn around and say, God, what do you think about this question, right? Clearly, there had to be a process of Moshe Rabbeinu still climbing some levels, meaning so Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't always on the same level also, meaning he had levels where he went into some meditative state, let's call it, right? And then he was able to receive a message. But then when he would go into meditative state, then he could reach a level where he can converse with God. But he still needed to do something, right? On the other hand, the other prophets, also, same thing. They would also have to, right? We saw by Nevi'im, by Bnei Nevi'im, that they had these posses around them of Talmidim. They would sing songs, try to get themselves also into an elevated spirit, right? Just by other Nevi'im, they would do their part. They would do their hishtadlus, right, to become more elevated, and then hope for the best. Maybe God will decide to speak to them or not. My Moshe Rabbeinu, they would also, right? He knew that at the end of the day, he knew that when he knocks on the door is going to open. Now, but let's think about this for a second, although that's a little weird, isn't it? Meaning we saw a few stories. Okay, maybe we should read a little more, but probably should read a little more. But we saw a few stories that, whenever a king wanted to go to war, what did he do? He called in a prophet, and he said, "Let's see, what was God saying?" Well, doesn't that imply that whenever they wanted to get prophecy, they could have? It doesn't. Why is that the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and other prophets?
So maybe that wasn't the true prophecy. It was some sort of a...
No, it's prophecy by king at a different level. Like, Gadol. Not that they can strong with. There is a ask question about 2 million. Not everybody can show up. King can come and ask. David was running away. When he came, the guy gave him an answer because he thought he was a shovel sending.
Right, but that's what Rimetumim. I mean,
Yeah, but I don't think that any person from the street just can walk into Beis Hamikdash and
I'm assuming Moshe Rabbeinu also didn't just go up and say, hey God, can you help me solve this Sudoku puzzle? I mean, I don't think that's...
No, but there's a king. Maybe we are regretting that. But that's probably not real. Maybe king has authority to demand the prophet to speak directly, like plays that call. Come on.
Interesting. I don't know. Do we have any examples in Tanakh where a prophet went to seek prophecy and he was not and he was denied? And he comes down and says, "I'm sorry, I got nothing for you today." Any such examples? I can't think of any offhand. But you should. But technically, is what he's saying is that a prophet should be able to say, you know what, I was not Zoicha. It's interesting. So that's a little strange. Okay, to be so tzarechiyun, as we say, that needs further investigation. Okay, let's keep going. V'oid, furthermore, sheshara neviim lohim hasigim ela inyonim protiyim. I mean, let me just touch off. Meaning, he doesn't bring a source for this, but right? But if he tells me that this is a difference with Moshe Rabbeinu and other prophets, that one of the prophets only, whenever God wanted, Moshe Rabbeinu, whenever Moshe Rabbeinu wanted, right? So clearly he has a source for this. I don't know, he wouldn't come up with it. He had to have come up with it from someplace. So he must have some source.
No, maybe I'm confused something, but I think when I learned about Bilam, they're saying that he has same powers as Moshe, It's just Bilam was chutzpah enough. If he wanted something, he was going to ask Hashem. Moshe, like it was the case when guy blasphemer, he said, let's wait until next day. Like Moshe, he was like his ability, he wasn't chutzpah to bother Hashem anytime he wanted.
Right, I mean that's maybe the source for it, because Vayokar Elokim al Bilam, right? It says, the pasuk says, Vayokar Elokim al Bilam, that God happened upon Bilam. So Rashi says, but Derech Mikra was more like wasn't like a regular thing. It was like a happenstance. By Moshe Rabbeinu, it's Vayikra el Moshe, and he called out to Moshe, right? But the aleph is small.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, to make the word Vayikra more similar to Vayokar, right?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu is, so to speak, comparing himself to Bilam, that Vayokar, and Hashem only happened to have spoken to me. It's not that he called me b'derech chiba in a loving way. He just happened to speak to me. So it's like that's the humility of Moshe Rabbeinu, that extra aleph, right? That small aleph. So that's one approach. I know the Rav Shimshon of Hirsch says that the other way around. That really, both Moshe Rabbeinu and Bilam had the ability to do whatever needs to be done in order for Hashem to speak to them. And it's true that Vayokar, and Hashem spoke to him, in like he said, in a happenstance way, because he didn't really want to, you like you said, it was a chutzpah on Bilam's behalf. Mashenkin by Moshe Rabbeinu, he waited until Vayikra. He never really approached God until, Hashem would call him. Occasionally there were these 4 times where he needed to inquire, so then he inquired. But so, I mean, that's what he sticks in here, these words, kifi hatzorich, as it was necessary. Whenever necessary, as it was necessary. It wasn't just like Stam, again, Moshe Rabbeinu would come to him. He would, ordinarily, Moshe Rabbeinu would wait for a phone call. He doesn't go on his own. But if there's a need, if the need arises, then he goes. So, I mean, so other prophets are very similar. They don't just go to Hashem again just whenever. whenever there is a need, they go, and when they go, they usually get a response. But okay, let's move on. Furthermore, other prophets would only get specific answers. What Hashem wanted to specifically reveal to them. Moshe Rabbeinu, however, Zacha was merited kol sidrei habriya, that to him was revealed the entire order of creation. Benitan lo rishus lachkar esakoil, and he was given permission to dissect, to kind of examine everything, ulechapes bakoil, and to search after everything. V'nimsuru b'yodoi, and it was given over to his hand, kol hamafteichos, all of the keys, shelo nimsuru levenodem ma'olam, that were never given to any person ever. V'hu mashu omar kosov, and this is what the pasuk means by saying, b'chol beisi ne'amanhu, in all of my household, he is the most trustworthy. Very interesting, right? So trustworthy, b'chol beisi ne'amanhu. This is what, who do you trust? You give the keys over to somebody who you trust. Yeah, any key, any room is open to you. So b'chol beisi ne'amanhu, he is the most trusted one in my house. So that's what the Torah means, according to Ramchal. B'chol beisi ne'amanhu means you're given the keys of the entire creation, right? Okay, that's very interesting. Similarly, it says, "Ani avir kol tuvi al panecha." I will pass with all of my goodness before you. That's also interesting. I will pass all of my goodness before you. What does that mean? What is he referring to? That's not the support. That's the support to the previous things, right? So let me just get this clear, right? So he says there's two parts to it, right? He's saying, maybe you could say three parts to it, right? Number one, the entire picture is revealed to Moshe Rabbeinu. Number two, he's allowed to investigate every part of that picture. Number three, the keys of everything is given to him. Right? What does that mean? When we say the keys, what do we mean by keys?
He has access to everything.
Right, but so is it just another poetic way of saying what he said before, or is there something new? I think I'm thinking, as soon as I hear the word keys, I'm thinking about the Gemara in Tanya says that there are four keys that were never given to anybody, right? To any malach or shliach. What are the four keys? The key of birth, the key of Tchias Amesim, the key of Parnasa, the key of rain. Those are the four keys, right? So in other words, meaning there's one thing about knowing the secrets of the world, and there's another thing about utilizing the secrets of the world, right? Putting them into action. So to me, that last bit of having all the keys of the world, meaning that not only can you understand the secrets, you could also use them. You can also apply them, since you have the keys, right? You can also use them. That's what I think it's saying.
Because it's like all my goodness, it's all the goodness. Because if you understand everything, you see that everything is good. But you have to understand everything to see it. Because we normal people will say, like, come on, how good can it be? It's definitely bad.
Right.
But when you have all the keys, you see all goodness.
Right. Or so I'm thinking that last pasuk is really going back to the previous things, which is unusual order. The B'chol Beisim Ne'eman, who is going back on keys. Ani avir kol tuvi al panecha, I will pass all the goodness before your face. That's talking about revelation of everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, and then you see the goodness. When you
Yeah, but you must have all the keys to see it, because otherwise,
Right. So that's that. Okay, so this last bit, what's the point of this last? Again, also question. I mean, he said this already. No, I mean, what is he adding with this paragraph? He said this already. Tmunas Hashem Yabid. Hashem, he sees the picture of God. He sees God. What's again? These are secrets of the Torah that we know nothing about. At least I know nothing about. But right, he says. That it was revealed to him the entire order of creation, right?
okay.
So he sees the creation. Again, let's focus. He doesn't say before Utmunas Hashem Yabit says he sees God.
Yeah.
This says he sees the creation.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you separate that two? On that level, you would have thought it's really one and the same. I mean,
I think Bria
is a lower level.
right. Bria is the
If you see the essence of God, so you sure. So what's a bria for you? That's like nothing. That's like the hiddenness of God in a certain sense. If you see the revelation of God, so that's it's more. That's question number one. Question number two is. You would have thought that to be a Navi, I mean, obviously in a sense there are levels, but and I said the question different. The question number two is that we're talking about the differences between the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu and the prophecy of other prophets, right? Mm-hmm. So great. So Moshe Rabbeinu got all the keys, or what has that got to do with the whole reason why we have this chapter? We mentioned this when we're learning the Rambam. We need to have put Moshe Rabbeinu in a different category. Why we're putting Moshe Rabbeinu in a different category? Because Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy is directly related to the validity of the entire Torah, right? So if Moshe Rabbeinu is not in a different category, then your Torah is not in a different category, right? And we got to make, right? So it has to be in order for the map to work, right? But the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu also had blonde hair while all the other prophets had brown hair, I mean, that wouldn't be relevant, right? We understand. So why is it relevant that Moshe Rabbeinu had all the keys accessible to him? Does that he already told, if once you tell me that he had the full image of God and he had the clearest right vision, and this guy, so that's how I know that the Torah is true, because Moshe Rabbeinu gave me the full picture with the clearest vision. Great, we're done. Now you want to tell me, but he was also an amazing magician. He had all the keys in the world. He could be Mechai Mesim and this and this. Yeah. Okay, nice.
I still think
it's
that
part of the package, right? Yeah. It's included.
No, I think the prophecy is actually to send information, but closeness to Hashem needed to understand it and to open it. It shows that he has the highest possible closeness to Hashem. That's why his explanation was.
But see, so don't agree with you. I hear what you're saying. That would definitely make things fit. Yeah. But then. Again, over here, it's his emphasis over here is on the Bria, and the keys is not the keys of Hashem. The keys are the keys of the Bria. Kind of, he has. So I would say before he was talking about more focusing on the closeness of Hashem, and now he's more focusing on something else. I don't know what that something else is, but something. Meaning, so I don't know if this is what you were trying to say, that it kind of maybe it's the other side of closeness, that once you rise above to be close to Hashem, then you could like look down upon the Bria, so to speak, and then see the full picture.
Right, it's included in the level, but I mean, do we really need to spell that out?
Well, that's a good question. Was it necessary to spell it out? I'm not sure. And furthermore, again, but back to this question, I mean, to some degree, you assume that even a regular prophet is also seeing I mean, he makes it sound like, the prophets only got a specific question, right? this king wanted to know, should I go fight for a war? He said, yes, go, you'll be victorious. No, don't go, you'll not be victorious. That's a very specific answer. Yes, but the way he got to being that prophet in order to get that specific answer was because he became a righteous person, and he purified himself, and he saw the image of God, and through many different lenses, right? And he saw the Bria in it also. He understood the secrets of creation. Again, maybe not on the same scale of Moshe Rabbeinu, but it's a question of scale at that point. It's not a question of, whoa, they're totally different. They're not totally different. They're very much the same. Just scale is different. So I don't understand, just also from a technical basis, why he's bringing this point. It's not that Moshe Rabbeinu is so radically different from the other prophets. Okay, they achieved the picture of creation on some scale, like Yeshayahu. Well, you don't think Yeshayahu was Saul, or Eliyahu Hanavi, or all the greats. Like, they're not. So I don't. This is a very.
No, maybe that's what it is. It just shows how different scale is. It's the same, but the scale is huge. But in essence, it's the same.
I mean, the whole base in them and who it's. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm. Ani avir kol tuvi al panecha. That's something more. Right. Unless, again, it could be just since everything that's coming. No, never mind. That doesn't work. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Zayin. V'hine hanevim kulom. Behold, all the prophets. As they were reaching the image that was being portrayed to them from Hashem, and they would also get the secret, or in other words, the inner message of this portrayal and its meaning. Perush, in other words, the secret that is found in this meaning. Okay, Sheyeh hakovod mitztayer, that the honor, or in other words, Hashem was revealed to them. Ve'eich nimshach zeh, and also how that was revealed, meaning also the mechanics of how that was revealed to them. U'maha kavona b'chol zeh, and the intent of this whole experience. V'cheino yomasigim askola mitis b'soidos gdulos yisborach. So they were also, he's maybe answering our question. They would also reach of an enlightenment, a true enlightenment of the secrets of the greatness of God, al yidei atzirahu, via that particular portrayal. They would also, though, understand that the essence of God does not have any image. That rather this image was only something that was made in order to present information to that prophet, as God wills. Alatam hayaduya atzloi, for the reason that is only known to him. I'm not sure why he's sticking this in here, but he seems to be, what he seems to be saying is, listen, we're talking about all this imagery. God has no shape, no form, no what you call it. So it's like, okay, so obviously when we're talking about imagery, the prophet also knows that this is only a mashal. It's only a parable, and okay, all right. Seems like a from disclaimer that he kind of had to put in there. No. One second. It's interesting. So the only thing that I would add to it is that, to make it a little less from, so to speak, is that he's saying, so the prophets, I guess, did see some kind of an image. Right? he's saying? It's like he's making an assumption that there is some kind of an image involved. I'm going to say, but so I'm not sure if he's being frum or he's being idolatrous. But is there an image when a prophet sees a vision? Is there an image?
No, how the description says he saw a warrior standing.
Right, of an image of some kind of a depiction of Tchias HaMesim, of war, of something. But is there an image of God? Is there a photograph of God?
But it was like,
of course not, right?
No, always not. But the two prophets were describing how they saw God. One was so old. That's white hair. I don't remember the text. I remember they were discussing like two people were describing different ways.
Right.
So obviously, so they saw something. Obviously, no, there is no image of God. So,
right. So what's interesting, right? So there seems to be some kind of an image, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Again, we usually don't think of that as an image. We think that it means of it there being symbolic. Meaning there was no image really, and not even that there was an image, but the image was symbolic. We think of it as the image that's being described never occurred. The whole thing was just symbolic. Because how could you portray anything?
But we cannot comprehend
these
image. We have to see image to
No, I'm not
we
sure.
know it's actually not real.
I'm not sure if we have to see an image. I'm not sure if we have to see an image, but basically, but he definitely says that there's some kind of an image. Number one. Number two is, so the prophet sees some sort of an image, and he understands the mechanics of that image. What does that mean, the mechanics of that image? So it sounds, no, so it's not just that, hey, it's not real. By mechanics, he could have just said that last part where he says, that's the last part. They would also understand the truth of the matter, right? There is no image at all, right? That's the truth of the matter. But in the middle, he sticks in that they also perceived the mechanics of this thing. In other words, what sounds to me like, again, I could be wrong, what sounds to me like the image was not that there was complete disconnect between the image and the thing that the image was coming to personify. There was a connect, right? Meaning, just like you understand, like with the thing that you said, that by the Medrash says that by Kriyas Yamsuf, Hashem appeared like a warrior, right? And by Matan Torah, he appeared like an old man, whatever, right? So in other words, so we understand that there are different midos of Hashem, so to speak, that Hashem employs different midos at different times, right? So when Hashem wanted to drown the Mitzrayim, he used the midah of strength, let's say, whatever. And when he gave Torah, he gave the midah of kindness or wisdom, or I don't know, whatever these midos are, right? So you maybe there is an image, but you understand through the image or through the prophecy, you understand the source of it and why how this particular image came around. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Meaning not just you understand also, hey, there is no really image, but more than that, the image does tell you something. It tells you where the source. Once you understand the mechanics of this image, you understand how basically this energy, so to speak, was compressed into this physical matter, right? So this physical matter is the image, quote unquote, right? So then you understand though the strings that are lying beneath this image.
Okay.
Right? That's what he's adding, I think, to over here. Okay. Valdover Zen Ne'amar L'Yisrael, and regarding this thing, this is the last thing it says to Israel. Utmuna einchem ro'im zu lo koil. An image you did not see except for koil, for a voice. V'chein ki lo re'isim kol tmuna, for you've never seen an image. Ki hine shnei advorim esigu be'emes. These two things are that they understood. Hisigu tchila shemitas mitziuso yisborach ein bo shum tzir klal ve'ikar, that there is no image whatsoever in the essence of God. V'hu mishoylol mikol ele adimyonis legamri. He completely is free from all of these imaginary things. V'achar idea zois. Now that they understood this idea, that Hashem is free from any image, nizgalis lehem gam kein tmuno min hatmunois hanevuyois. Then they were able to have a revelation of a prophetic image, Shaleh Nemar, that it says later regarding this vision of Hashem by Har Sinai. It says Vayiru es Elokei Yisrael, and they saw the God of Israel. Right? But it says and Vayechlu Vayeshtu, and they ate and they drank. That's by the firstborn. Mare Dibur. And that's why our sages refer to it as Mare Dibur, the visualization of speech. Mare Dibur, the appearance of speech. She'ena Mare Akovad Be'emes. It's not a vision of Hashem's glory and essence. Ela Mare Shemitstayer Mikoyach Dibur. Rather, a vision that is visualized with the ability, with the power of speech. A vision that is visualized from the power of speech. Shehu ki inyan atzir hamistayer be'aspaklaria, which is very much like the vision that is visible via this lens. I don't know what he's talking about. Shal yodoi masigim protein yonim besoidus lakusois baruch u'briyosei. Let's slow, hold on. Shal yodoi, that through this aspaklaria masigim, they were able to grasp prote inyonim besoidos elakusoi, specific secrets within, specific details within the secrets of godliness, ubriyosoi, and his creation, v'anhagosoi, and his guidance, his anhaga, his ashgach. K'moshe ba'arnu. Okay, so 3 levels of understanding of God: understanding God's essence, understanding God's creation, and understanding the way God runs the world. Right? 3 layers of understanding of God. Again, essence, creation, and hanhagasa, and the way He guides the world. Essence, creation, and hanhagasa. Hold on. Okay, so anyway, so from Hey, from Vav and Zion, these last 2 paragraphs, last 2 points, I'm not sure why he felt it necessary to put it here. He should have put this back in the previous chapter when he discussed different prophecy. Then he should have talked about, that there is no image. This seems to be out of place. Right, he's talking about Moshe Rabbeinu over here, and he's giving me specific about other prophets. Right, they saw the image, but it wasn't the image. It wasn't symbolic of the image. It doesn't belong here.
Moshe, his clear image.
Right,
but at the end, it's not an image. You gotta summarize it. What I was talking about, I wasn't talking about image.
Okay. I don't know. Just 1 second. exactly what it says.
Rambam?
Ramban.
Ramban?
Okay, let's just stop here today.